I'm Frances Callier.
And I'm Angela V. Shelton.
And we're Frangela.
You know what you need in your life? The Final Word podcast.
Yes, you do.
That's right. It is the final word on all things political and pop cultural.
Where we make real news real funny.
Where we inspire you so you can #resist.
Subscribe and get a new episode of the Final Word podcast each week. It's the news we think you need to hear.
That's right. We think you need to hear it. Okay?
Yeah, it's what we say so.
That's right. And because all we do is give, every Thursday you can listen to our hysterical podcast, Idiot of the Week.
We round up the stupid because you know what? Somebody has to.
Okay. All we do is give.
It's no surprise that newsmakers try to manipulate the audience. They want you to believe that they are the one holding the line and they'll use any trick they can to get you there. But don't let them fool you. Get unspun. I'm Amanda Sturgill. I've been a reporter, and today I teach future reporters to cut the spin and think critically about what newsmakers say. My podcast, Unspun, shows you how to know when you're being manipulated by the news. Learn to spot the tricks and how to make up your own mind about what's true. So if you're tired of being fooled by the news, subscribe to Unspun today. Unspun. Because you deserve the truth.
You're never alone.
Yes, and you're never alone is exactly right. And that sense of belonging and knowing that there are other people like you really can ease your mind a little bit.
RWB. We came to make a change.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to How to Not Lose Your Shit. I'm Katie Paris, the founder of Red Wine and Blue.
And I'm Sarah Goodman, the Red Wine and Blue Network South organizer.
Thank you for joining me, not just to give LaFonda a little bit of a break, but also because we're talking more about the South this week, and that is your wheelhouse. You are our network organizer for the South. But before we get to that, we do have some exciting news, everyone. A month ago, we mentioned that we were partnering with MSW. This is Allison Gill's podcast network. You know Allison. She's been on the podcast. She is the voice and the power behind the Daily Beans. They are friends, they are partners, and now it is official. So as of this week, we're officially in their network, and you might hear some ads now as a result. This show is still 100% produced by Red Wine and Blue, brought to you by Red Wine and Blue. But now, as Allison and I discussed on this podcast, and as she and I have discussed on her podcast, we believe there's power in numbers. And we are excited to have both of these women-powered podcasts partnering up to reach even more people, even more listeners, because you know what happens when we reach more people? We get more people to not lose their shit, and to get more people to therefore take action and get in on the game of helping to save our democracy here and in the now. So back to our topic of this week. We are all losing our shit as usual a little bit, but women in the South are really fighting the good fight, and God bless them. Sarah, you took a road trip across Georgia a couple weeks ago to talk to Red Wine and Blue leaders and to members. So what did you see? What did you see on the ground? How are women in the South feeling?
Oh, Katie, they are so fired up. I felt so privileged to be able to just take this tour across Georgia and meet all these new people. I got to go with Lisa Reese, who also works for Red Wine and Blue. And Lisa's Georgia born and bred. So she was sort of my tour guide and chauffeur. And we found so many new people just coming out of the woodwork to join us. People that had never been involved with Red Wine and Blue before. So many women who have really just gotten activated politically in the last few years that weren't before, and that are suddenly coming out to events, starving to meet people, eager to hear about what's going on, wanting to participate in things. So it was so invigorating, and we just had the warmest welcome everywhere that we went.
I always find this so inspiring and interesting. All of the women who are newly coming to Red, Wine, and Blue. That is our mission, to be that welcoming pathway for women to find their way to civic, political engagement. What are some of the things that you saw motivating some of these women? Like, what was the spark?
I think there's different issues that are really motivating women to get involved. Right now, data centers are a really big issue that,
Yep.
that have gotten some new people out and active. But I mean, in general, I'm just seeing that it's been the last couple of years, women kind of responding to what's going on nationally, but also within their communities where they're suddenly thinking, I can't just sit back and do nothing anymore. I really have to do something more active. My favorite part, I think, of this trip was in Roswell. The first night we had a happy hour get together, mostly people that had at least joined Red, Wine, and Blue for something at some point, but some new people as well. I had a new group leader attend who she drove, I think, an hour and 20 minutes to attend this event. She's from far out, rural, red, a county quite some ways from where this event was. And she had started this group. She had joined some national event we had and decided to start a group in Herved County months ago and had met with me beforehand to talk about, should I do this? I don't know. There's probably not going to be enough people in my county. And I'm not really, a leader. And I don't know how to even go about it. She drove all this way, came to this event in Roswell. And people like Carrie Dix, who we have on the podcast today, were there telling her all the ideas of the things that they're doing with their group. And in talking with other people there, suddenly people were saying, oh, I actually know someone who lives where you do, or I have a cousin who's there, or, I know this woman that runs a business there. And she was just blown away with the connection that she felt. And she stayed after that event and told me, I am so glad that I came to this. This was exactly what I needed to get motivated to get this group up and going. I feel like I have a newfound sense of purpose. Let's go. And that was just, yay, such a great, great moment.
So exciting to see like a woman just come alive like that. I can't wait to see what she does next.
And come alive because of the other women there who were just encouraging and supportive and, cheering her on.
Yeah. And then as folks will hear in our interview, that's exactly what Carrie, our guest today, experienced in her own community with her own group. After some experimentation, figuring out that that's what women really want is ways of connecting with each other. And once they feel that sense of connection and getting rid of that sense of, aloneness and isolation, that is then what prepares them to go kick some butt. All right, let's bring on Carrie. Hi, Carrie. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
This is a real pleasure. As I think you may know, I was born in Georgia, spent a lot of my early life there. Last week on the podcast, we had Amanda from Amanda's Mild Takes, who lives in the South too and is doing a lot of organizing in the South, talk about creating change in the South and how sometimes the work that we do organizing in the South can be dismissed or not taken seriously. And I would just love to hear from you as someone who actually lives today in Georgia, is leading a Red, Wine, and Blue network group down there. How does it feel?
More important than ever.
Yeah.
You're right. A lot of people write it off. A lot of people have said, Georgia's back to being a red state and things are not looking good. But I don't believe that at all. I think we've got some real opportunities here in 2026. And I think the people in my group would tell you that they're excited about being involved and doing some work and actually making a difference. It's hard. There's no doubt. It's very hard being in the South, but we know what the work is ahead of us and we're excited about doing it.
What do you think people get wrong about the South and the possibilities there?
I mean, a lot of people think that, and you look at the gerrymandering and a lot of other things that are going on here, and people just write us off as a lost cause. You'll never get control back of your state government. You'll never be able to send Ossoff and Warnock back. I don't believe that at all. I think because of the gerrymandering, we may look more reddish than purplish, but I still believe we're very, very purple with more and more people kind of coming on board as to maybe there's a different way. As an example, we have two mayors of very red GOP-controlled cities here in Georgia that have just come out saying they support John Ossoff, not the Republican candidate. So to me, that's a very public sign of some shifting of some opinions.
That's exciting to me to hear because I know that these suburbs in the broader Atlanta area, they are the fastest diversifying suburbs in the United States. And, with that, we have seen, population growth, diversification, people moving from other states, and we have seen political shifts go along with it. This has been happening not just in Georgia, but all across the country, but just in a really accelerated way. And I wonder, I'm a big believer that politicians rarely lead, they follow. And so if this is those politicians sort of seeing the way things are going in their communities and wanting to catch up with the people. Is that your read on it, or am I way off there?
I think that area is expanding, as you said, as more and more people are moving not only into the city proper, but in all the suburbs around it. And you're right, a politician's got to be smart. They need to pay attention to which way the wind is blowing, and people are starting to feel that it's shifting the other way now, and they're paying attention to that.
So, Carrie, we have heard that your husband is a 3-time Trump voter, and we're wondering what that's like.
Well, it's hard. I will tell you that. We've been married for 38 years. So obviously there's more to life than what would feel like everything with the news and what's going on with politics. So, I knew when I married him that he came from a very strong Republican family. If you've got an R by their name, you vote for him. You don't think about it, you just vote for him. And that's kind of how he was raised. And I was always raised to be a very independent thinker. So it was, a little uncomfortable in the early days, but not so much. In fact, we used to joke about, hey, are you going to vote today? And if the answer was yes, the other person would say, well, then I better go too, because I got to go cancel your vote out. I mean, it was funny back 10, 12 years ago, and it's not so funny anymore. And what we've really learned is it's best to, in general, just not talk about topics that we know are going to be a sensitive subject. I'd love to be able to tell you I've converted them, but what I've learned is there are some people that are just digging their heels in so hard that that's not going to happen. And it's not worth my time and effort to continue to push that. And it's not worth the stress to me to continue to try to have some of those really hard conversations.
So when you are going out to lead one of your group meetings, or you're involved in something, organizing on the ground there, does he know where you're headed? Like, walk us through it. How are those conversations? How do those evenings go?
Oh, he knows where I'm going. I'll often say, hey, I'm off to coffee, or I'm off to a sign waving or whatever. And he'll just kind of give me the look and not say anything. He doesn't protest it. He doesn't have a real issue with it, at least not that he's ever vocalized, but he's not like, you go, good for you. Not, nothing like that. And he never asked me when I come home how it went, or if I had fun, or if people showed up. He just remains neutral, I guess, as neutral as he can be. But he knows what I'm up to.
Well, I think we're winning this side of the deal, because you're out there mobilizing. You're like multiplying yourself by the tens and hundreds, and he's just sitting there on the couch as his solo one. So I think this deal is working out pretty good for us.
I think it is.
What has your experience been with women, though, and their political affiliations or leanings or feelings on issues as someone who's been working in these recent years on the ground in Georgia? Because what we've seen, I've witnessed this some in real life, and even with family members, we certainly see it showing up in the data and polls and things like that, that women in suburban areas in Georgia have been moving towards the Democrats. And have you witnessed that some yourself? What has that been like? What kinds of things do you hear those women saying? And I'm also interested in that kind of interaction between maybe the women who've kind of always been Democrats and then the ones who are sort of coming to this in a new space. And how does that relationship building go?
Yes, I've definitely seen some of that shift, not only from, I would say, personal friends that I have outside of the group, but in some of the members who have joined the group within the last, say, 6 to 12 months. Some who are former Republicans, some who would still call themselves old school Republicans, but are in the anti-Trump camp. We try as much as we can to welcome them and tell them that, we're not all Democrats. I don't even consider myself to be a Democrat. I'm an independent, always have been, and I tend to lean a little more that way, but I don't put myself in that category. So, try to be welcoming to everyone. And people are saying, because of Trump, that is really the big divider for them, is that I can't support the Republicans at all anymore. So therefore, I'm going to come do something else and see what we can do to move on, I guess is the easiest way to say it.
And have you found that as those women join your ranks, are the women who've kind of always been with you, are they excited and eager to welcome them in? Or are there some, feelings about like, why weren't you here before? How's that gone?
Yeah, there's a little bit of hesitancy, just because it's probably, I don't know if it's maybe uncomfortable for some of them, but I haven't witnessed anything that I would say has been unwelcoming. So I think everyone's making the effort to make that umbrella big and wide and welcome everybody, because we're really all in it for the same reasons, whether you're a Democrat, an independent, or still call yourself a Republican, but are ready to move on.
Yeah. And that's powerful.
I think that's fascinating. I've always been really active politically, and my dad raised me to be a Democrat. And when I look at you and I see all the great things that your group is doing and just the incredible activist work that you're doing, I mean, your husband may not be cheering you on, but we certainly are.
Yay! Go Carrie!
I'm so fascinated by, like, how did you go from just, being someone who voted and, maybe did the occasional thing to being this amazing group activist? What happened to inspire you to take on this leadership role?
Well, to be perfectly honest, it was rather reluctantly. And I guess probably early 2024, as we started ramping or thinking about the elections in 2024, there was that sense of urgency that, hey, we need some more people, especially in states like Georgia, where we didn't have any groups. And I finally caved and said, all right, sign me up. I'll start one. I have no idea what I'm doing, but let's give it a try and see what happens. Last year in 2025, we were doing more big community meetings, once a month or every other month, bringing in lots of great speakers. But we started to lose a little momentum kind of the end of last year, and that member attendance at meetings just dropped off. And I think a lot of people were in the same boat. It wasn't just us. I heard that from some of the other Georgia group leaders. So we, as a kind of a core team, and I've got, 5 or 6 women that have been really good and actively involved and are kind of my support and go-to people when, hey, what are we doing for the September meeting? We need to start talking about it. They're the ones who jump in and really help us put that together. But we just started talking about, okay, what could we do differently to get more people engaged? And we found that through a survey, I'm big on surveys with members to kind of figure out what they want to do. They wanted more social activities. So we started with a Friday coffee, the first of the month, and we've been doing that since December. Those kind of things has really got us moving along, is listening to what members wanted and responding to that. I think more people now show up for stuff because it's something they really want to do.
Carrie, I think there's several things that you're doing that strike me as being so smart. First of all, leadership has to be patient. Trying different things out, experimenting, and recognizing too that I think it's so relatable. I think sometimes we think, okay, I invited everyone. Where is everyone? And sometimes it works that way, but other times it takes that time to get started. And I think that's super relatable. And I think that remembering, sometimes we as women, we can think, oh my gosh, I'm such a failure. The first thing I tried didn't work out. The community is telling me that I'm not worthy, and that's not it at all. It's just that, as we know, everybody's got really busy lives, and sometimes you got to find our footing first. Another thing you're doing that's so smart is having that team approach to leading your group. We can never do any of this alone. It's impossible to do alone. And so having that leadership team, having your gang to work with, brilliant. And then leading by listening, really listening to the women in your group. Core to Red, Wine, and Blue from the beginning, early days, is creating that sense of belonging and connection and relationship building among women in our groups. And it sounds like that has really turned out to be something important for you. And I wonder, I think everywhere, but particularly maybe in the South, right, where women can feel a little bit isolated in some of these communities. Do you have any observations about how important that relationship building and having social activities, community building activities is to helping women just kind of get to a place of, like, the name of this podcast is How to Not Lose Your Shit. Is it helping y'all not lose your shit so that you can figure out what to do next that's productive?
Yeah. For a lot of our members, they would tell me that, they joined the group in the first place to find people that were like-minded.
Yeah.
Right. Some of the folks come from pretty rural, red areas and they feel like that they're all by themselves. And I don't know, maybe they are. There's probably a few other folks there.
You're
But
never alone.
yeah, so you're never alone is exactly right. And so to come and being able to have a conversation with somebody who is maybe not think exactly like you, but we're all kind of in the same boat. And it's just so comforting to people to realize that we have 240 members in our group. There's a whole bunch of people you can talk to who will think like you and at least will listen if you've got some concerns and can probably help you find some more members in your area. We found some of that too. Is, hey, I know somebody in name that city, Johns Creek or Norcross or whatever. There's not just you out there. Here's 20 more people we can sit down and have coffee with. So let's do it. So, but that sense of belonging and knowing that there are other people like you really can, I guess, kind of ease your mind a little bit so that you're not so totally focused on panicking over what's the latest bad thing that just happened today. Okay, I can have that conversation and now we can move on to, and what are we going to do about it, rather than just so focused on the panic level that I think so many people just run around with these days, because it's a fire hose of stuff, right? It just comes at us constantly. And to be able to, okay, got it off my chest, now let's talk about what we can do is the next thing.
Social scientists have spent a lot of time and money studying the phenomenon that you're talking about. And you're figuring it out completely organically on the ground. But like, it's true. Like, science does show that people, for there to be any kind of sustained community involvement, like what we're going for and what we need so desperately right now, you've got to create that sense of belonging. You can have all the great tools and programs in the world, and those are necessary. Like, people do need concrete things to be able to get involved with and to know they're making an impact. But if they don't have that sense of connection and belonging, it's not going to be sticky. It's not going to keep them coming back. And you've tapped into that secret sauce. So you can tell the social scientists you got it covered. You've got it all worked out. Can you tell us about what's next? We have a little over 80 days until the midterms. What do you and your group have planned?
Well, we did another survey to figure out what kind of activities, because there's so many things we could be doing, right? That we had to narrow it down a little bit because we can't do everything. So the things we're going to keep doing are we call sign waving events. We don't call them protests so much anymore because that's making a few people uncomfortable, but sign waving events. In our area, there are some standing weekly ones that we're encouraging people to go to. It doesn't have to be one of the big No Kings, Good Trouble, protest kind of things, but those sign waving events that we can build momentum now and remind people that, hey, there's an election in November, and keep that in front of people. So we're doing a lot of that. We're also doing some sign wavings at our polling locations. We kind of tested that out during the primaries. There's pictures of me standing in a dinosaur costume with signs out in front of my polling locations during early voting and voting. And it got people's attention. And I can tell you that a number of people came up and told me after they voted that, hey, I pulled over and went in to vote because I saw you standing out here with this sign in that dinosaur costume. So, if I get 2 people to vote, it was worth that day. So I think those kind of things, and they're fun. It's just one of those fun things to do.
Bringing joy into this, Carrie, also so important. I love that.
We're also encouraging members to sign up to be either poll workers or poll watchers, observers. I'm going to do that for the first time. I just signed up, and by me signing up, I got several other people to sign up with me. So, here's a thing you can do on an early voting day or an election day, and a way to do something a little more directly involved. At our September meeting, we're going to go over the rally tool, getting that in front of them again, saying, here's an easy way to kind of organize who you're talking to and have those conversations at the right time. And if we can start them doing that in early September, that'll give them enough time to kind of figure it out and know who they're talking to and start those conversations.
So smart, Carrie. Okay, we have to pause and let everybody know who's listening. Rally is a tool that Red, White, and Blue offers all of our local group leaders and our group members access to, which supports friend-to-friend organizing, which we know is multitudes more effective at getting out the vote than any other mode of contacting voters. So whether that's texting or phone banking or even knocking on doors, and all of that's great, but it is not even 1/10 as effective as friend-to-friend organizing, because your friends know you, they trust you, and unlike, these random lists of people that some of these organizations and campaigns have you calling, you've got their correct contact information and they're going to get back to you. So please, everyone out there, what Carrie is talking about is tapping the power of your own networks, the people that you know, the people who you interact with in your day-to-day life, whether that is the school pickup line or a book club or who you run into at the grocery store. These are the people that you need to become the voting fairy godmother for. I am really excited about you all doing all of this, and particularly because you do have this network of women who are Democrats, who are independents, who are old school Republicans, who are, not down with MAGA and are prepared to not just vote against it, but to put skin in the game and do something about this, and recognizing the power of doing it together. As you talk about this work that you do, if somebody goes, "Oh, Carrie, I heard that you have a group that you get together," and you have no idea what their political background is, what's your advice for how to talk about this in a way that might invite them in?
I was going to start with the easy answer, but you threw a little twist in there at the end. So the easy answer would be find a group and find one thing you can do that is an action that can take your mind off all the stuff that goes on every day. Ask them the question of, are you looking to make a change for yourself or for someone else? Is there something that you're thinking about and you just want to talk to people about? Come join our group and just try it for a little while. Just come to it. And we have people that'll come. And that's one of the other reasons we like to do these social events is, just show up and see if this is a fit for you. Come and just have a cup of coffee or have a drink at our happy hour and just kind of see if that's something that you think would fit. And some people come back. We've had a few that, I don't know, didn't for whatever reason. I don't know why, but that's okay. It's not going to work for everybody, but just try it. Find yourself a group and just see if it's a fit for you and bring some friends. Come back with friends.
Yes. Thank you for making it all seem as accessible as it really is. I think sometimes people hear like, "Oh my gosh, you're a local group leader. Where did you get trained for all of that? And how could you ever do that?" And I think you've really showed how, if you're willing to try some things out, listen to the people that you want to organize with, you're willing to, the thing about delegation is you're willing to ask for help, and I think sometimes as women, we feel like, "Oh no, I have to do it all myself." But I know that when a friend of mine asks me for help, I feel honored. It's her way of telling me that she trusts me enough to show up for her. And so let's do that favor for each other. Everyone is so starved for connection right now. The world we live in is pushing us further and further away from each other and further into our phones. And I think we're all sick of it. I think we want to reconnect with each other.
I would absolutely agree. We need our friends more than ever. And if you need more friends, there's a good way to get them.
Yeah, so true. Sarah, did you have anything else you wanted to ask before we wrap up?
Oh, I want to thank Carrie so much. When I go online and I look at the things that her group is doing, it makes me feel so inspired. And in this work as the South organizer, being able to point to her group and go, especially for someone that's struggling getting started and saying, well, these are relatively simple things and look at the attendance that she has. And I know people look to her locally as this leader that they can go to for help. So I'm just so grateful that you're there in Georgia doing the work that you're doing.
Thank you so much, Carrie.
Thank you.
Keep kicking butt out there.
We're on it.
How to Not Lose Your Shit is a podcast from Red, Wine, and Blue. It's hosted by Katie Paris and LaFonda Cousin and produced by Amy Thorstensen. To learn more about Red, Wine, and Blue, you can find us on social media, on the Red, Wine, and Blue app, or on our website at redwine.blue.
Look around, there's something going down, but we're looking up. No matter how they try to take us down, we're gonna keep it up. We move with confidence, we're making a difference wherever we are. Good trouble is not too far. We've got the fire, we've got the grit, through the thick of it. So powerful we are. So powerful we are. So if you see us coming, just know we're making a change and we're not running. No, we're not going away. We stand together and we can stop the rain. Just know came to make a change.
Hey, it's Jody Hamilton.
And Sean Smith-Pierce.
Here's a taste of what you might have missed from the Politics Bar.
Jody, I was listening to you this morning, filling in for Steph. You and Chris were debating, and just for the record, Jody is right. Chris's argument is that there is some truth to what's being said about the left being in their own information silo. Right.
Basically, we started talking about how Gavin Newsom has invited people on his podcast, high up MAGA guys.
Yeah. Well-known right-wing propagandists. That's what they are. Yeah.
And my argument is he shouldn't be inviting them because nobody on that side is listening to Gavin Newsom.
Right. It doesn't help to bring propagandists into a sphere where truth matters because they're just going to lie their asses off anyway.
Right.
So here is a public service message for Chris Lavoie. Jody Hamilton is right. Catch all that and more weeknights at the Politics Bar. Available through your favorite progressive radio station, your favorite podcast player, or online anytime at thepoliticsbar.com.
History is messy. It's weird, wild, and anything but boring. Rainy Day Rabbit Holes is a history podcast about unhinged stories that make you stop and ask, wait, is this real life?
From crazy disasters and tasty scandals to enlightening and surprising heartwarming tales, we explore the moments where people behave badly and sometimes beautifully.
We've got naughty politicians, cultural chaos, and a deep love for the Pacific Northwest, including Bigfoot.
It's thoughtful, irreverent, occasionally serious, and always entertaining.
Let's fall down the rabbit hole.
MSW Media.